Hey guys, so recently one of our subscribers asked us what is van life like being a full-time student. I'm not a student, so I can't talk about it. So in this video, it's all Vanessa.
Sorry. I'm going to talk about category 1, and actually I've already done this, but Phil deleted the clip. So as you can see, we are in a completely new environment and it is now nighttime.
Oops.
Yes. So anyway, category 1 I was going to talk about was about living life in a van, as a student. So that in that I'm meaning like sleeping, cooking, showering, and that sort of thing. And it's really convenient as a student, honestly, because most academic institutions have really great facilities, and the hours are usually pretty good. Even in my college, which is pretty small, we have pretty good hours. It opens very early, it closes very late. The only downside is maybe on the weekends where it does open a little later and close earlier. But I know for a lot of big universities and stuff, they've got like 24-hour libraries, so that kind of makes it easy for you if you have to use the bathroom at any point in the day. As for sleeping around here, it's actually pretty easy because, again, it's like you kind of get to know the people that work here late at night, and like the security guards and the janitors, and so they all recognize us, they know us, and so it's kind of like a safe place actually for us to stay. We also cook sometimes in the area, and it's kind of funny because some students will sometimes walk by and see us just cooking out the back of the car and stuff, and they'll ask us questions, but everybody kind of understands the whole student life and you're on a budget sort of thing, and so we only really get positive comments about it. Nobody looks at us too weirdly. The other part about cooking is often we have leftovers or we make enough for lunch the next day. So again, most schools have fridges and stuff, or microwaves and things that you can use on campus. So that makes it, again, really convenient to store food, especially because we don't actually have a fridge in our element. So finally, say like showering, then stuff like that, that's also really easy because, again, most schools have a gym or some sort of workout area, and so they always have showers available. And again, that's open usually as long as the school is open too. So you can always access that. And for us, we also have our climbing membership, so we also have two options there. And so as a student, I honestly think living in the car makes living life pretty easy because they know that students are basically living their whole life on campus anyway, so they kind of make it just easier for you. And I know a lot of students actually do have meal plans too, so again, you might not even have to cook at all. So the second category I wanted to talk about was academic. This was a little more specific to what the question was asking about how I study. For the most part, studying kind of depends on the hours of the place that I want to study. So often in the mornings I'll go to some kind of coffee shop because they open early. I also like to go to libraries, either if that's my school library or the public libraries. Just with the public libraries, they do close sometimes at odd hours or open at odd hours, so you kind of have to watch out for that. School libraries are usually better. I think most of the time they're open quite late, and some are 24 hours during exam time. We also really like to go on weekends when everything's closed, like the library and the school. We like to go sometimes to places like Target, which actually often have a place that you can kind of sit down, have free Wi-Fi, have plugs and that sort of thing, and then I would just study there until it closed at midnight. There are days that I couldn't study anywhere else, or we're just in a place that I can't get to a Target or something, and in that case, I'll study here. We kind of thought about this when we made this whole shelf. I was hoping for something I could kind of use as a desk if I needed to. I do try to limit the amount of time that I study in here because clearly this isn't really the best posture to be in. I mean, this space is just enough for me to put my laptop, maybe put my notepad or notebook, and have a textbook or something like that out. And I also had put this little screw in here so I could use my BioLight. I thought it was really important that I was able to have enough light when I studied. So this can just hang right there, and it gives me plenty of light in my working space. Another thing that we actually did think about was making a place for me to study up in the front seat. We actually did make a whole table that would sit on the front sort of dash area and the armrest and kind of hold itself there, and I could just work while being fully upright in the front seat. The problem with that was that often this is at night, and so I didn't want to have the light on all night where people could look in and see me. And also that piece of wood that we used for the table ended up being like very strange shape and really large, so we kind of had to put it, we had no place to put it anywhere, like to put it away. So in the end, we ended up scrapping that idea and not using it after all. So one of the other things that happens when you're in school is that you tend to accumulate lots of textbooks and notes from previous quarters or terms. That's the same for me. So we try to keep it pretty minimal in the car itself. So I try to just put in the books that I need for that quarter or for the exams that I'm studying for, and that way I can keep the weight down, and we definitely don't have enough space in here anyway to put everything that I have. So we actually have a friend that we store our stuff at, and every quarter I kind of just go through it all and try to compact it, and then leave it at our house and just make room for the new quarter. I also really like to use the school lockers. It seems like not many people do nowadays, but I put like tons of my stuff there, all the stuff I need for at school, and sometimes I put cereal or snacks and food that dry foods that I can just keep there and access during the day. Definitely there are things about being a student academically that you kind of have to work around in terms of studying, but it's really not that bad. There's plenty of places to do it, and you can also make your own sort of emergency study area just like this if you need. So the last category I was going to talk about was social life. The subscriber had asked about how I time managed between studying and traveling. And for the most part, we did most of our traveling on the weekends. Sometimes single day trips, sometimes 2 or 3 day trips, depending on what time we have available and when Phil could get days off at work as well. And a big part of it, I have to give the credit to Phil, because he did a lot of the planning and everything. I honestly didn't have that much time to plan while I was studying, and I just had to get used to just really vague plans where there weren't a lot of details. But the good thing about living in your car and traveling out there with your entire house is that you're not likely to forget something when you're packing. I mean, it'd always work out that way. So I would really try to organize my time so I do all my studying during the week, and then just have minimal stuff or things I just need to catch up on the weekends. We did try to work around some of the weekends that I had mandatory events to go to, or seminars, or if I had exams I felt I really needed to study for. Then we just kind of picked all the weekends that we didn't have anything going on, and then Phil would just go ahead and make his plans, and then I would just kind of come along for the rides. Definitely there have been times where we've been camping and I pulled out my notebooks and studied under the starlight or the campfire. It never worked super well, but sometimes it would, and often I would go camping with friends of mine or classmates of mine, and so sometimes on the trips out there, on the drive, we could talk about what we needed to study for, and that made it really easy too, because we're both getting something out of it and having fun at the same time. So it's actually a super awesome life living in a van while you're a student, and I would recommend it to anybody, honestly. If you have any other questions about what it's like to be a student living in your car, just feel free to write in the comments. Thank you.